When we ask the question, why did our brains evolve, an obvious answer is so that we can think. Thinking is our superpower. We have complicated neural patterns that help us think and make decisions in our day-to-day lives, and yet we are doing less and less of that. But for some of us, this is a good news, because that is not why our brains are evolved. What is then the purpose of our brains? To answer that, let's go back about 550 million years and meet this thing called Amphioxus. I'm not a fan of the name, I would name it something like Toby. Amphioxus or Toby had a very basic mechanism for movement that helped it propel itself through water. After a nice day of swimming, when it's time for dinner, it would plant itself in the ocean floor and just waited till any minuscule creature drifted into its mouth. So for them, eating was based on chance, unlike us who'd carefully maneuver their way to the kitchen at 3 a.m. for some sweet cookie. For Amphioxus, if no tiny food entered into its mouth by chance, it would go to some other place and try its luck there. You might say, oh, that's kind of stupid. Well, because it was brainless. No, seriously, it had no brain. Taste and smell were also not of concern because it had no tongue or nose. Couldn't see either, no eyes. Just a few cells to detect changes in light here and there. So you could say Amphioxus was just a stomach on a stick. They're not our direct ancestors, but our cousin ancestors, and weirdly, they still exist today. Then somewhere, somehow, one creature was able to detect the presence of another creature and deliberately ate it. This gave rise to the Cambrian Period, or the period of hunting. And predators joined the chat. While Amphioxi, or little Tobies, could only distinguish between light or dark, newer creature could actually see. Amphioxi had little skin sensation, but newer creature had greater sense of touch that allowed them to detect objects by vibration. Our fellow sharks still use this kind of touch to locate prey. These creatures developed more sophisticated system for movement or motor abilities. But just because these newer creatures could detect the presence of other creatures doesn't mean they could eat anything. It gets more complicated. There may be some creatures to avoid and some to gobble up. They might think of a predator as food and end up becoming food themselves, because again, brainless. As predators and prey both began to develop more capable systems, a careful decision needed to be made whether to attack or to flee the scene. The evolution favored those who could, first and foremost, locate the prey and be fast enough to eat it. If they could locate it but were very slow, someone else might level up on it. This all required energy. Energy to see, energy to be fast enough to eat the prey, and energy to flee the scene in the presence of a predator. So energy efficiency was key to survival, and it still is today. However, those creatures did not have Red Bull to give them wings. Energy efficiency is like a budget. Financial budget track money that is earned and spent. Similarly, body's budget keeps track of water, salt, and glucose that you gain and lose. The best way to keep a financial budget is to anticipate them beforehand. You want to know when to pay the rent instead of living in suspense every day waiting for the knock on the door.
Give me rent.
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door!
For the Cambrian creatures, prediction was the key. When a hungry predator is nearby, should they wait around to see if the hungry beast will attack, or should they anticipate the lunch and prepare the body in advance to escape? Smart choice is to predict the attack and leave in advance, and prediction beats reaction. Those who become good at predicting survive. This budgeting process is called allostasis. It means automatically predicting and preparing to meet the body's needs before they arise. But how can animals predict their body's future needs? It is, of course, from Google search history. The best source of information comes from the past, and based on previous actions, something was rewarding, such as successful escape or a delicious meal, they're more likely to repeat it. All animals, including humans, somehow conjure up past experiences to prepare the body for action. This prediction is not conscious, thoughtful decision, but something happening in the body of the creature to predict. They still don't have a brain. How did we evolve one? Well, as ancient animals began to develop large and complex bodies, there was a need for regulation. Till now, they had a couple cells to regulate a couple things that they did, but these animals developed intricate systems like the cardiovascular system with a heart to pump blood, a respiratory system to take in oxygen and flush out carbon dioxide, and an adaptable immune system that fights infection. These systems made body budgeting difficult, and something bigger was needed to run these systems efficiently. They needed a command center, which is, wait for it, a brain. So as animals evolved large and complex bodies, their handful body budgeting cells took steroids and evolved to become brains of greater complexity. Fast forward a few 100 million years, now we have brains of varying complexity that can eat, poop, fight illness, do calisthenics, and of course pump blood and balance dozens of hormones. This is all body budgeting at a much more complicated level. With all this set aside, we can now say that our brain's most important job is not thinking or imagination or creativity or empathy. Its job is to control your body by predicting the energy needs before they arrive to make informed decisions, and survive by means of good returns such as food, shelter, and becoming a knight. All this so you can do one most vital task, pass your genes to the next generation. We still think, feel, imagine, and create hundreds of experiences, but these are all just consequences of a central mission to keep you alive and well by managing your body budget. It can be a short-term budget, like when you drink coffee to find that one missing semicolon all night, or the long-term budget when you decide to waste all your money on college education and get a job to survive. The idea is key to understanding the brain and making healthy decisions. So next time, ask yourself, do I really need this donut, or is just body wanting to increase the energy budget?